Welcome, welcome. It's great to see everyone joining us here today. If you can introduce yourself in the chat with your name and where you're joining from today, we would love to know who's with us. We are going to get started, but don't worry, this is being recorded. So we will be sharing a follow-up if you're coming in a little late with the recording. Welcome. Let's dig in. I want to share a little bit about Branch Alliance before we get into the content of the workshop for those who are new with us today or have joined other events of ours. Just a little bit about Branch Alliance for Educator Diversity, or we like to call ourselves Branch Ed. We are a professional services organization and a collective of university faculty and leaders advancing educational equity and excellence by expanding individual capacity, enabling supportive relationships, boosting institutional effectiveness, and collaborating with communities. Branch Ed's commitment is to achieve sustainable programmatic transformation, leading to improved outcomes for diverse educators who, by extension, benefit all students by preparing them to thrive in our heterogeneous society. We are thrilled to have everyone here. I'm so glad that you've chosen to spend part of your day with us. You will have an opportunity a little later on to get to know each other better through large group and small group discussion. But for now, please be sure to have your institutional name, your name and your institution on your Zoom box. You can do that by clicking on your name and then clicking on the rename button. My name is Kim Igwe, and I am our professional development manager here at Branch Ed, and will be one of our facilitators for today's workshop. We are all joining from different spaces. Some of us are joining from home offices and some of us are joining from work buildings. A couple of things to keep in mind for today's workshop. We are recording, as I mentioned, and we will send it in a follow-up email. Resources will be shared in the chat feature. Use the chat feature if you need any technical help. Jennifer Reese is here with us today from Branch Ed, and she will be helping us on the back end, coming on and off video as needed, but she will always be there if you have any tech issues. Thank you, Jennifer, in advance for helping us out there. If you have ideas, questions, please feel free to connect via the chat. Just know as facilitators, we're really focused on sharing content, so we might not always be able to share if you have questions automatically, but we will get to them. Please be on camera as much as possible if you're able to. It just helps us to create a community during these virtual workshops. Branch Ed offers a variety of professional learning experiences and resources for individuals, institutions, and community members. Through each of these professional learning experiences, our beliefs always hold true, that every student deserves access to caring, adaptive, and well-prepared teachers, that every teacher deserves preparation that fuses quality with diversity, and that every person benefits when we create a higher standard of education together. I would now like to hand it over to my colleague, Dr. Luzelma Canales, our Vice President for Community Engagement and Partnerships. She led our first Linguistic Diversity Joint Action Group, which is how this workshop series came to be. Luzelma, thanks for being with us today and sharing more about the Linguistic Diversity Joint Action Group.
It's good to see everyone. I see some familiar faces, and then I see some faces I've not seen before. So welcome, everyone. So Branch Ed creates spaces where we bring faculty, leaders, scholars, and others where we in something we call joint action groups, or JAGs. Our joint action groups bring together subject matter experts to address needs within our core community. Rather than working in isolation, we believe strongly that it is important for us to build these spaces where folks come together to kind of address some pressing needs. JAGs for us have proven to be a very effective tool for working collaboratively with our core community across institutions to develop resources, tools, and to build learning opportunities for each other. And so the Branch Ed work occurred in two phases. So in phase one, during academic year 2021, Branch Ed formed a joint action group comprised of 11 faculty, MSI faculty, whose research and practice centered around linguistic diversity. And as you might imagine, that was very varied, right? Depending on the field and the lens that people work from. So the linguistic diversity phase one, Jack, focused on the vital role of language in learning. The aim of phase one was to create tools and resources for teacher educators that prepare teacher candidates to serve linguistically diverse PK-12 students. This group of 11 faculty created over 50 tools and resources that are now available in our resource portal. In phase two, during academic year 21-22, we brought together 6 of the 11 faculty from phase one to develop high quality learning opportunities based on areas that our core community identified as needs in the field of teaching preparation. This group of 6 faculty developed 2 online modules and 4 workshops for the linguistic diversity workshop series. We're really proud to introduce the 4th and final of these workshop series with that this group developed. As you can see on the screen this spring, we had one in February, 2 in March, and this is our final one. And it's on centering art to question the world around us. And y'all, I had the pleasure to work with Dr. Faltis over 2 years. I'm in deep South Texas, in McAllen, Texas. He's in Laredo, northwest of me, about 100 and some miles. But it has been a pleasure to work with him. And when I saw the work that he did, I'm like, you have got to be a part of this workshop series because it's super important. So Dr. Christian Faltis is a current professor of bilingual education at Texas A&M International University in Laredo, Texas, right in South Texas, along the Mexico-Texas border. He was the Dolly and David Fitiment Chair in Teacher Education, Director of Teacher Education and Professor of Language, Literacy and Culture at the University of California, Davis from 2008 to 2016, and a Chair and Professor of Teaching and Learning in the College of Ed and Human Ecology at Ohio State University from 2016 to 2020. Christian was a Fulbright Scholar in Honduras and in 2001. He was the recipient of the ERA Distinguished Scholar Award. He was named as ERA Fellow in 2016. He has been editor of the TESOL Journal and Texas Education Quarterly. He holds a master's and a PhD in curriculum and teacher education with an emphasis in bilingual cross-cultural education from Stanford University. He has published more than 100 pieces since the 1970s, including 23 books on language diversity and bilingual education. And with that, I leave you with Dr. Faltis to enjoy this journey that will go on centering art to question the world around us. Christian? You're still muted, Christian.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up to this, and I'll work on my muting and unmuting. This is going to be an opportunity to talk about centering art in all of our lives, and particularly in the field of teacher education and working with teachers, and if teachers are involved. And I think it's really important because art education is one of the areas that has been downplayed as assessment and teaching and all these things are being increasingly used in schools, and so we don't see a lot of art. So we'd like to just start this out by just maybe sharing your experience. Think about how you use art in your classes, and how you, if you work with teacher educators, if you work with teachers, if you're a teacher yourself. Maybe share your experience of how you use art to support your learning objectives and to engage students in critical thinking. And you can just maybe think about that for a minute or so, and then share it in the chat, and then that way we'll be able to get this thing going. So I'll just give you a minute here, and we'll keep going. And for those of you, I'm sure most of you know, but you can go down to the bottom of your screen and it says chat, and then you can, oh, good, you began to emphasize STEAM. That's great. Oh, great. That's really great, Clarence. Pixel. Great. Yeah, we're going to do some of those feelings and ideas. That's great, Anita. Yeah. Wonderful. Visualized learning journals. That's interesting. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about that, Christine. I'm not sure of that. That's a central, very, very good tool to use. All right, here we are as we go through, and I hope to get ideas. Beatriz, you'll get lots of ideas here. So to start out, the way that I envision art, and I've been an artist now, all my life, but really concentrated my efforts for the past 18 years on art, and you'll see that my art addresses certain kinds of topics in society, and each one of you will have topics and areas that are really concerning to you, and part of your own set of experience, and that's what you need to tap into. And I'm looking out my window right now and talking to you, and I can see art out there. There are trees everywhere, and parallel, I can see lines of these palm trees and stuff. I think about here we've got volcanoes, and children like to build volcanoes and think about volcanoes, and where are some of the biggest volcanoes in the world, and why does Hawaii have a big volcano? What does it look like? What's that stuff coming out at the top? We can talk about in Mexico, we have Popocatépetl, was one of the largest active volcanoes that smokes all the time, and it's such a beautiful thing. And Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. So these are things that kids can begin. You can see that these are triangles with a little bit of idea to get the heat using red warm colors, and then you've got the mountains with the darker colors and the blues to get the cool colors. So right away, you see with these very, very young drawings that children are already seeing how certain colors are warm and other colors are cool, and that's something that you can use as to teach students how to use colors to represent warmness and coolness and things like that. And so we have these first two examples here, and you could easily see how kids could do those. Here's a piece that I did using a volcano in the background of this this mariachi here playing guitar with the Virgen, sort of looking for hope. That's the expression I have. But you can think about all these things. And a lot of people ask me in this one, well, why did you put a volcano in the back? And that's because I wanted to get that sense of volcano erupting, that things are moving, and that there's violence in the background at the same time that a person is playing music. And I know, like Marlene says, she can see Popocatépetl every day, and and I know that it smokes, and sometimes that it even goes off. And so it's really, really important to this is a way of using art to actually express something in a painting like this. And so that's what I was trying to do, and using the red as a very warm color along with the greens, which are a little bit cooler, and then having the blue sky and the red in there. So I tried to coordinate those things, and you can talk about all those things with students, as you put art around your room, because all teachers have art, and they bring art, and they show videos, and they show these things. So it's really, really important. And I use a lot of the Virgen de Guadalupe in my paintings because it's part of my historical self and my life and things like that. And you'll notice it here that I have the Virgen also holding a big sort of violin and or a guitar there, so that the idea of music is a way of expressing feelings and things like that. And the look on the guy's face, I have it as kind of solemn because of the volcano that's exploding in the background. And there's also, if you notice, in the middle of that, there's above those red mountains, there's a little town there that may get some of that volcano there. And I don't know if that's Popocatépetl, as Marlene pointed out, that could happen, but sometimes smoke and some ashes and and you know, those kinds of things, rocks, those can come down. So that is something that's dangerous. Okay. It's active, yes. Oh, there's Luisa. It is very active, and the local international airport is closed thanks to all the ash. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's amazing. So you can see that a volcano. A lot of our kids may not know down here in Laredo may not know about a volcano, but we can show the ones in Popocatépetl. We can show the one up over in Hawaii. We can show other ones and what they are, and I think kids really enjoy that. Here's an example of clouds, and I know that clouds, happen. You know, there's something that we can see every day outside, and I love to look at clouds. Around here in Laredo, we have these beautiful, just giant cumulus clouds that are so beautiful, and yet they're really hard to capture in art because there are so many different kinds of clouds. And here you see the cloud, and on the left-hand side with the boat there, you see that the whoever the artist is put a little bit of tone in there, a little gray tone, to give that sense that at the bottom of the cloud it's going to be heavier. And then you have on the right-hand corner, some kids use cotton and then drops of water to get that cycle that happens where clouds hold the water and then produce rain for us. And then we have the little young man there drawing a cloud with the sun, because the sun, the clouds are reflecting the light of the sun, and that's why they're so light in the air, which is blue. And then down on the right-hand corner, you know that sometimes you have a cloud over your head. That means you're kind of worried. You could be maybe depressed, or something's not going right for you, and that's a way of indicating that something's going on in your life. And art can do that rather than just writing that out. You can capture those deep feelings that students can have. And look at how happy the kid is in the middle there, that he drew that happy face with the sun, and got some idea about, you notice that the dark around the bottom of the clouds and there, and then put some white in there. So what he's doing is toning down that cloud so it gives it a little bit of depth. And that's something that, he's probably been taught. And to talk about, when you talk about color and color ideas about how white and black go along a system to make a grays, and those grays then can give you certain kinds of tones. And you can have mid-level tones and lighter tones on the cloud there, and then make them really dark at the bottom, and that indicates that there's likely to be rain coming from those. Right. Here's the next one is, I love this drawing here. I put these up because you can see that how complex this is, the evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection of water. Those are all big words. They're nouns that are taken from verbs. They're nominalization of verbs: to evaporate, evaporation; condense, condensation; to precipitate, and to precipitation; to collect, and collection. So these are very good vocabulary words, and to have students get an opportunity to draw out and understand that. And it's hard to understand why we get rain and what a rain cloud looks like, and how is it that the water that's on the ground goes up and is collected in there. It evaporates and it's collected, and then over time, under the right conditions, it will rain, which we call precipitation, and then it will collect again and continue that cycle. And so this is a way of getting at a complex science idea, and have kids draw it and paint it. And you can see that these students here are using pretty cool colors here on the mountains and the water, and then lighter colors up there. Notice on the one on the right, again, they've got the darker clouds over there with condensation, and then the sun is lighting those clouds up. And so that's a good rendition of what happens as things evaporate and then condensate and then come down and then go back around again, and that helps them rather than just reading about it or having the teacher saying it or looking at a quick video. If you can have students actually show and apply their knowledge, and then be able to talk about it by pointing at the things that they're doing. This is especially helpful for English learners because they've got the words there and they've got the support to scaffold their discussion of this particular process. So I thought that was a really good way of showing it. And here's a couple of paintings that I did where I put clouds in the background. So, you know, there are maybe 6 or 7 different kinds of clouds, and this is not something that young kids would do, but certainly by 2nd or 3rd grade, they learn about cirrus clouds and cumulus clouds, and you know, and here I'm floating around. This is me at the beginning of the pandemic, floating around in the cumulus clouds that are relatively low in the sky, just enjoying the day. And then here we have on this mountain, we have these cirrus clouds, which are much higher clouds, and they're going to go in a direction that, you know, sort of like this. They're moving. They tend to be up higher, and they don't accumulate like cumulus clouds do. And so, and clouds are very, very hard to draw and paint, to do them well. And so you can give students opportunities to do that, because what it does is it introduces things like tones, different tones and different shades. So you can teach them about different, very, very fundamental ideas in color theory, and that will help them develop their understanding of how color works and those kinds of things. All right, so for the first thing we're going to do today, and this is going to be kind of fun, is that we're going to have each of you draw a scorpion. So we'll put you into groups and things like that, and you say, "Oh, I can't draw," or what about a drawing? Or maybe you won't say that, but your children will say that, or your students will say that. "Well, I don't draw, Profe, I don't do this." But you know, what you want to do with art is encourage students to explore and to be creative. And you know, we were talking about this recently, you know, and sort of Bloom's taxonomy is that your creativity is at the top. And I sort of really push back on that we can have young children. Somebody was just telling me a story about how children created their own insects and then got up and talked about them at 3 years old. And so, you know, that's the creative aspect of what art can do for children. It pushes them to think about things that they wouldn't have thought about, you know, just by somebody teaching them or by seeing things, because they're creating all over the place. And one of the things I like to do is work with scorpions, because a lot of people have a fear of scorpions, and you know, they're around us. They look kind of, you know, mean, and they might have poison and things like that. But you know, scorpions actually, you know, they've been around for over 400 million years, and they're one of the most important insects or arachnids that we have on Earth. And some of them are very small like this, and some of them are very large like this. I had a pet Scorpy. I called him Scorpy for about 3 years or so. He was an emperor scorpion, and he was very, very good to me, and he helped me, take care of him. And I would take him out, and I would put him in my hand, and I would cup him, and I would take him into 2nd grade or 3rd grade, and show. It was just really, really fun to see that. So I thought it's really good to have scorpions. So what I'd like you to do, there's on the next slide there are 2 scorpions that we have. If we could put that slide up. Here it comes. Yeah. I want you to open your imagination, and the next slide I'll show you these 2 scorpions. So the scorpion on the left is one that I found on my floor in Laredo. He was a nice little guy, and I made sure and took a piece of paper and took him outside. Now, do you know what scorpions eat? Scorpions eat termites. And so it's really important. They eat termites, they eat grasshoppers, they eat wasps, and insects like that. So they're really important to have. And then the one next to it is a kind of the red scorpion. That's kind of like a, you could make him into really a special kind of a scorpion. This one's like that they have in the kids' games and things like that. So both of these scorpions I drew on an iPad or something like that, where I use colors. And what I'd like you to do as you draw these scorpions in a few minutes is to, first of all, on the one on the left, look at what you see in terms of, do you see circles, squares? Do you see a number in the scorpion's tail? Right, Dr. Grayhouse, you see it number 9, right? Ahí está el 9. And so that's number 9 there. And you also could see 2 C's, and the others are there. And you've got a nice oval shape. And so also there are 4 legs and those kinds of things. So you could try to work on that. This one was actually a little harder to draw than this one. Now, the second one, the red one, is it's got a little perspective on it, so it's turned sideways, but you can still see that it has kind of like an oval shape, and then it doesn't have C's, but it has the pincers actually are more visible in that one, and then you have the tail coming up, and it's more like a C or almost like a person's head. And so you can draw that. So, just take your time on those, get that eye in there. And I think what's going to happen now, Jennifer will put you into some groups, and you get to draw those things and see what you come up with. And we'll come back and have a look at those. And I ask you to hold up your papers here in a little bit. So we'll give you about 5 to 7 minutes to do those. And I'm looking forward to those. Luisa, see how those go. All right, I think that Jennifer has pulled most of you back in, and this is an opportunity. Clarence, can you hold yours up for us?
Whatever.
You got that beautiful clouds right behind you, man. And I'm just talking about clouds, and look at them. Right, hold it right in front of your face, where your face is. Okay, let's see. Oh my gosh. Oh shucks. There it is. There it is. Hey, that's pretty doggone good. You got it. All right. I see it.
Yeah, if I was like 3 years old, I think it would be, not bad.
No, not bad at all. Yeah. What about Lisa or anybody else that has one? Somebody had one with a termite. Who is that? Was that you, Lisa? You had a termite in there?
No, we were a scorpion.
Okay, you're just a scorpion. Anybody else have one?
Anita, I was telling them, yes.
Yeah, Kim's giving away all my secrets. I'm the one with the termite. So I was painting my termite. I was drawing my termite in, and in about 2 or 3 rooms before, I went and added a spider. I went and added a centipede, and the termite that was being devoured actually is followed by its whole termite family, because termites live in a family, and so they're all worried about this one termite being devoured by the scorpion. And so I'm going to pull up my picture if I have screen sharing.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
So
oh my gosh, you got look at that nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's Scorpy here.
Yeah, that's Scorpy.
And that's the termite. That's the termite family, who's very worried and screaming and trying to make a lot of noise. So save our big brother, and so on and so forth. And there's a centipede coming out to check out what's happening, and the spider is in hot pursuit, and everybody's waiting to be devoured by.
Absolutely, you could bring in a wasp there too. Yeah, that's great. Wow, that's great.
I did warn Kim. You never know what I'm going to come back.
Well, you never know, because that's creativity, and who would have thunk that you'd have all of that. that you'd create that kind of thing. And so, you know, just imagine if you were talking with children about this and you talked about all the foods they ate, and they could do something like that as well, and then talk about, you know, their habitat, and you know how important that is that they eat each other, because that's part of their world. And then what do termites eat, and then what do scorpions eat, and what do wasps eat, and what, you know, all of that stuff. And so that's really cool. I really enjoyed that a lot. Thank you. That was really awesome. All righty. Anybody else have one to share?
I think Marlene was holding up one, Luis.
Marlene? Yeah, let's see what Marlene's is. Oh, that, let me see. Whoa. Now that is a, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you got a good scorpion there. You got a good scorpion, Marlene. That's good. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on, and we'll have a chance to draw some other things as well. This next one is really a tough one. So one of the ways that you know, we had an expression in class the other day, and I was working with English learners and stuff, and the expression was, this kid is head over heels over Selena. And like, and the kids go, what's head over heels? And, you know, everybody knows what head over heels is, right? But it means that you're kind of goofy. You're really like excited about this person here. But it would be hard to draw head over heels. I guess you maybe have a person going backwards or something like that. Head over the heels. I don't know, Clarence, is something like that? Head over heels? What do you think?
I would not even know how to describe that. Yeah,
it's a tough one. That's a really tough one. So, you know, we'll do some of those things as we go here. So this, you know, supposing we're talking about hyperbole, and then we're using expressions. Again, a lot of kids who are English learners, these expressions are really difficult for them. And so you can see that they're hyperbole. He was so thirsty that he drank the whole river. Well, I mean, that means that he's very, very thirsty. And then how would you draw that out? So here I just did a quick drawing on a iPad kind of a thing to see that. And what we'll do next then is I've got a list of hyperboles, and you get to pick one of these. So I've done this one before. These shoes are killing my feet. You know, how would you do that? I'm so hungry I can eat a horse. These are expressions that are used in English. Lourdes ran so fast she left skid marks on the sidewalk. When I got my COVID shot, the needle was this big. So I guess you could maybe have something there. I would climb a mountain for chocolate ice cream, and her smile is a mile wide, Holy cow, that's big. And Miguel is as skinny as a toothpick. So, you know, these are things. So maybe pick one of these and sketch it out for us in your groups again, and you can share in your groups. And then we'll come back and we'll see how some of you do as you get these here. These are a little bit harder than just doing a regular, because you have to be really creative. So when I got my COVID shot, the needle was this big. I mean, I kind of thought about that, but it really was only like this big. But, you know, when you think about it, it could be, you know, for some people, it could be really, really huge. And so think about that as hyperbole. That means that you're exaggerating to an incredible extent. Okay, so we'll take a few minutes to do that.
Before you get in your breakout rooms, if you can just jot down the one you're gonna try out in your drawing, because you won't be able to see the slide once you get to your breakout room.
Pick one of these. And I really like the one. These shoes are killing my feet. I can see, you know, daggers and things like that and blood. But we'll see. And our what we'll have to do is, based upon your drawing, will we be able to get these? Okay, so Clarence, you got a big one there. Lisa, go ahead. And the rest of you, let's see here, Marlene, Anita, Beatriz, okay, and whoever else is on there. Adriana, go ahead, Adri. Okay, let's see what you do.
Yes.
Do you have one to see if we can guess what it is? Okay, let's see. Oh, that thing there. Okay.
Oh.
Oh, skinny as a toothpick.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Skinny as a toothpick. And oh, that one. See, that's what I had in visualize in my mind. That's what I had in visualize in my mind. I would climb up for an ice cream. Absolutely. Good job there. Lisa, do you have some? One? What is it? Oh, let's see. Your smile is a mile wide? I forgot that one. Yeah, mile wide. Clarence, which one did you do? The hard one?
I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute. No, I'm trying to learn how to do it on my phone.
Oh my gosh,
Lisa's is so
even
much
harder.
nicer. I couldn't get mine to work too well on the iPad. I couldn't show it on the iPad, but I did a mile wide smile.
Oh, mile wide. I did. Let me see. I did. How do I do this now? Can you all see that one?
No, I think you need to the center of the computer.
Oh, I got to go like this.
There you
Here. Oh, there it is.
Mhm.
Oh, oh, schnitzel. Oh, I got to do this. I'm using my. Well, it's supposed to be a foot with. There it is. A foot with a couple of daggers in it. Because that's what my feet feel most of the day. My feet are killing me. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. Oh dear gosh. And those kind of things are fun to do. And also these are body parts, and these are you know, when you have like climbing up, I'd climb a mountain. You've got, all of that stuff in there. So it has a lot of language. And what it does is that it keeps, because it's drawn and it's talked about and it's shared. These are expressions then that kids can pick up, especially if they're language learners. This is a really good way to get those kinds of things. And it also teaches them that idea about hyperbole, but in a very, very, specific way. I mean, there are a lot of ways to do hyperbole, but this is just one way that shows up in expressions. So that's really fun to do, and I appreciate all that. Let's go on to the next one here if we can. Oh, this is the really fun one. Okay, now this one, and the reason I've got this one here right at this point in the workshop is that because I work with a lot of bilingual communities and immigrant communities from all over the world, but mainly here in Laredo, they're from northern Mexico, or some come all the way from central Mexico and come through here. Is that understanding that also the idea that we can create things that we might not see in life, but we can create them in our lives, and that these help us understand how people can have lots of different ways of being and doing. So one of the things that I've done for a while is I've created this idea of a sharkadile. So there's my sharkadile, and then I have a seahorse butterfly. This morning when I was preparing for this, I thought about this idea of an elephant crocodile. So what I'd do is I would draw the elephant, sort of have elephant and then big elephant ears. I'd make it an African elephant with big ears, and I'd have tusks, and then I'd have the crocodile sort of nose coming down and little teeth coming out the side, and then I would create a crocodile elephant. And for me, what that does is really, this taps into how creative students can be to come up with these ideas, and then they can paint them and use different kinds of colors. And it also helps them just get a sense of, that we can make new things out of art, that we don't have to just copy. If I want to draw a picture of this cup right here, I could, holding a cup, I could have a flower coming out of the cup, or I could put a little scorpion climbing up the side of the club. I mean, anything that you want to do, an artist can do. And then you can make these things. Now, supposing you had a class where kids, all your children came up with 2 new animals and then gave them names like that, you could have those around the class and things like that. I've done this in my classes before and had my college students develop these, and boy, they just really had a wonderful time doing it. So on the next slide that you'll see, I've given you a set of animals that are listed below. 10 minutes is probably too much time. We can maybe take 7 minutes or something, but be creative, focus on using your imagination over getting things right. So we've got here a giraffe turtle, what that might be, an elephant bunny. An elephant bunny might have some bunny ears, I'm not sure, or the bunny might have an elephant tusk, I'm not sure. A crab apple, not a crab apple, but a crab apple, an apple that's a crab. A kitty pear, a whale snake, ooh, that's a hard one. A grasshopper dog, and a tiger pig. So pick one of those and see what you can come up with. I'm going to go ahead and work on one as well. I've got my paper right here. I think I'm going to pick one of these. I think I'm going to do a grasshopper dog. So I'll try that here. A grasshopper dog, and we'll get going here. Let's see, grasshopper dog. Ooh, yeah. See that works there. No, I gotta go like this. Oh, it's too big. Yeah, too big, but you can see the grasshopper dog. Oh, doggone it. I don't know how these things work. There's a grasshopper dog right there. Cool. I like my grasshopper dog. That's really nice. A tiger pig. Oh, I do not follow the rules in the slide. Oh, you don't? Oh, that's all right, Anita. That's all right. Look, I see him going. Let me see. Marlene is going. Beatriz. Oh, there's Adri. Are you drawing? What are you drawing, Adri? What do you got? That's a butterfly seal?
No, the bunny elephant.
Bunny elephant. Oh, got you. That's a bunny elephant.
And I didn't show you my kids. My shoes are killing me. This was
that was killing your feet.
You got with
poison.
The poison.
Wow, that is even better. And I like that you put a little face on there. That's very creative, Adi. Very creative. That's awesome. Good for you. Who would have thought? I mean, poison. That's pretty good. Poison on your feet. And I don't know if you can see this guy here, but I don't know. I don't know why yours are coming out so nice, but mine is there. I think I have it too big, but there's part of it, and then there's the puppy dog. So I probably should have made it smaller. That's a puppy. Was a puppy grasshopper? Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. Wow, I didn't know that you could do that kind of artwork. Yeah. That's pretty doggone good. Oh, well, you're doing an Axolo bunny? Can you see it? Let me see here. Let's see where are you, Marlene? That's go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that is cool. Very cool. Man, way to go. That is really good. Luisa, do you have yours? What is it? That's a duck. Oh, giraffe. That's something of a giraffe.
Turtle giraffe.
Yeah, that's a turtle giraffe. Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. And let's see, Clarence. What? Oh, you have yours. What's yours? Let's see. It's See if we can see it. Will it work? Man, that was, I like that. Yeah. This has been enlightening and enjoyable. Oh, thank you. Okay. All right. Let's see here.
Profe, can I share something I used to?
Absolutely.
Oh, I wanted to share something I used to do in my classroom, and I think it applies to this activity a lot. So when students have their drawing, like here, I would have them fold it like this and create these two little windows that show a little bit of the animal.
And then
they would have to create an adivinanza, so a riddle. So they would write the riddle here and then show the little like clues, and then they would open it up.
That's a very good one. That's a very good one. Thank you for that.
And Lisa, yours was in color, right?
Pardon me?
Lisa's was in color.
Yeah, Lisa's was in color. Yeah, I think so.
It's a crabby apple.
Yeah, that's a crabby apple. That is definitely a crabby apple. That's a good one. And again, I like that idea to make a riddle. Again, that's playing with language, which is creativity. And then you have the creative art. So that's really good. And yeah, all kinds of fun things there. Yeah. So why are these dual images important? You know, each one of you will have an answer to that. But, you know, I think it promotes the idea of diversity in society and among people. You know, we're all different. You know, there could be, we can imagine all kinds of things, and we do it to encourage their imaginations and how they do things. I like that, you know, you have the clues and you can have riddles, and it supports dynamic bilingualism and biliteracy. So you can have kids explain this in both Spanish and English. Maybe they can write about this. They could figure out, well, how would you say, you know, a dog grasshopper, you know, a puppy grasshopper, you know, in Spanish, if you were to do that, or these other kinds of things, you know, a tortuga que es un tortuga camello or tortuga jirafa, you know, all of those things. And so those are really important things because they really express imaginations, and it can support bilingualism and biliteracy. Here's one that I did. This is an actual a painting, and you know what that MD stands for, Adri? Anybody want to guess? That's Mickey Duck. Mickey Duck. So, you know, I took, there's Mickey Mouse. I guess if you take off this, and then there's a oh, shared a file. Okay, she shared a file. Cool. Mickey Duck, and oh, cool. Axel Bunny. Oh, look at that one. Oh, and that is a kitty. Uralik. Okay. And then I'm doing Axel Bullet. Yeah, and then there it is right there. Oh, that's beautiful. Wow, that is amazing. This is a painting I did quite a while ago when I was first working on this idea of, you know, having two things together. And here's the Mickey Mouse over here in the corner, but this is Mickey Duck. And, you know, I just thought, well, it's just kind of cool because, you know, it's Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. You know, it could be any of those. I love that. Thank you, Marlene. And then here's my famous El Vicente. And this is El Vicente. And so it's got aspects of this, you know, famous Mexican cantante singer, Vicente Fernandez, and this famous U.S. Southern singer, Elvis. And so you can see on the glasses up here, I've got the V, and I've got, this is the Elvis sideburns, and here's the Vicente mustache, and here's the Elvis shirt, and here's the Vicente, you know, jacket, and this hat, and you know, and the glasses. And I spent a lot of time because, again, this idea of El Vicente is, to me, it a lot of people talk about translanguaging, and they talk about bilingualism, dynamic bilingualism, that it's not Spanish or English or it's sort of like this painting that I tried to capture. That is he's not either Elvis or Vicente. He's both of them, and he's, you know, and so when we you know, move back and forth in our language with people, we're sometimes we're Elvis and sometimes we're Vicente, and sometimes we're Elvis and sometimes we're Vicente, and that's okay, because this is the way we talk as bilingual individuals. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. There's that one. Oh, there's Vicente. Yeah, there's Vicente. He was actually talking to us. So now what I'm going to do is to take a 5-minute bio break. I'm just gonna, you can draw, and if you have ideas, like Adri shared, if she does something in her class, I think that's a really great idea. Adriana, if you could write that down in the what you do, if you could do that in the meeting chat for everyone, I think that way people can pick that up. And I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Okay. All right.
Feel free to go off camera. We'll
all right. So I think people are hopefully back now, and I think Clarence was talking about this early on about the, you know, expressions, art as a way to express feelings and emotions. And I know kids, some teachers even have little cards where they'll put how you're feeling, because social emotional learning is it's a big thing now and all that stuff. And so, you know, you happy, and you notice that happy, that there's a smile, and the eyebrows. What's important about this is to get the eyebrows that are rounded when people are happy. And when this little guy here is angry, the eyebrows are going to go up, and the mouth is going to go down usually, or like this, kind of like, and then when you're surprised, the mouth is open, and the eyebrows are also going to be round. And so I did these 3 drawings really quickly, but kids can do those as well, and to talk about, you know, their own feelings and express their feelings. I think it's really important to do that, so we can do that. I also have this one here as a kid. You know, there's so many kids that have been separated at the border, and so I did this one, and, you know, just thinking about this, and yeah, we're going here. Here we are, and I made it as a little widow, as a little you know, a kid that you probably wouldn't think of, but, you know, just the idea of being separated at the border, to me, has always been as troubling. And even though I understand all the issues at the border, the idea that kids are separated from their parents to me is really, really tough. And I just, as a parent myself and a grandparent, it would be really, really hard. And so I tried to work a lot here. I did a lot of work with shading and tones and things like that, to make it sort of dark and then light. And you know, and again, I made the hair. Thank you, Clarence. I made the hair, you know, again, sort of light. So these are. It doesn't matter whose child this is. It's somebody's child, and so that's important. And sometimes that we can talk about that, because here in Texas, in particular Laredo, for those of you who have been in this area, we're right on the river. You know, it's a Rio Grande on this side, it's a Rio Bravo on that side, but it's still a Rio, and people cross all the time. And they're not all you know, gangsters and, you know, carteles and all that stuff. They're families and people who are looking for asylum in this country. So, but it's a very, very complex problem. And just me as an individual, as a scholar and a human, I've always taken on these issues and tried to capture them in art in ways that hopefully can tap into what people understand. Because here in Texas, there are a lot of people who frankly are just anti-immigrant, but there are also large numbers of communities and people who understand what it's like for the immigrants who come here and have to suffer these very painful events of seeing their children put into you know, places. This is another piece, a couple of pieces I've done. The one on the right is my Mother's Day painting. It's from somebody's artwork, and I took it and I put it in a painting and made it the mother and the daughter on Mother's Day. And because a lot of families are, right here on the border, families can't see each other sometimes. And so it's a really tough thing. And I spent a lot of time on this to try to get the hands right, the expressions right, the feeling. And then on the left, I tried to make this into really if you look at that as a creative, the mountains are not like mountains. They're like this like dreamy place. And I made the border wall very low because people do go back and forth. And if you notice what's on the cap, well, it's Dallas Cowboys, because a lot of Dallas Cowboys have a lot of friends and a lot of fans in Mexico and the U.S. And and then the other guy, you can't see it, but it's the Chivas, and the Chivas are from Guadalajara, and they're a big football team there, soccer team we call them, and and then there's the younger sister over there. Just gosh, I miss my mom and my family who are in the States. And then I make the fence up here, as green and vibrant and things like that, because families have been coming back and forth from Mexico for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's just difficult now that people can't do that. And so and so I try to capture that as well. So those are those things I think are important to do if you're working in communities. Now, my experiences with Mexico, but there are Kurdish people, there are Arabs that have had from Syria, from Lebanon, that have had all kinds of difficulties with the war, the proxy war between Russia and the United States, the Ukrainians, Central Americans, Haitians, all of these people are experiencing things, Nicaraguans, and it's very difficult. And so I try to capture what I feel are, empathy for how difficult it must be for these families to be driven out of their country and have no place to go and be dispossessed and then try to find a new home. And that's constantly what I try to get at and try to make that part of what I talk about, because that fits into a larger understanding of, how important, biliteracy and bilingualism are here for all groups, but understanding that most schools and most communities and policies are English only. And so I try to constantly talk about that. I also think that art is a wonderful way of scaffolding student understanding. And scaffolding is, it's a way to get students to understand things that are beyond them, but by doing art, they can tap into those. And so if we look at Vygotsky's work, of working in that zone of proximal development, that art then can be something very complex. You can create things and then you can bring it to some learning objectives that you have. And so I think that's really important. It enables you to interpret student thinking. So I do a lot of work here based upon some work done out of Michigan of eliciting and interpreting student thinking. So art, I use art in all my classes because it helps when students then have to interpret what they're doing and what it means to them and why they did it this way. I can understand about what they're seeing. And that also helps them develop their language and their ability to communicate ideas. And you can make your own art to go along with presentations, to develop their language, to help them express words. I try to have in all of my classes always have a piece of art so that we can talk about that, or that it frames what I'm going to talk about as we move along through the day. What that does is sort of constantly encourages students. I encourage students to use art, to do drawing, to see art around them because it helps them understand their world more completely, I believe. And it's a way to draw on culturally responsive and culturally sustaining practices. A lot of times we talk about this as choosing children's books or children's materials, but I think art, we want to choose culturally responsive art that goes along with Arabic speakers, Chinese speakers, Farsi, Somali, Spanish, Ukrainian, Vietnamese, Kurdish, whatever, Persian, so that we can have different ways of expressing art in all our classrooms. For example, we go back to the scorpion. The scorpion is a very important concept in Islamic history, and certainly in Egypt. The pharaoh was represented by a scorpion, and so the more we learn about these things, about things that are in Farsi or Chinese, then we can make sure to have those practices and those artifacts in our classroom to be culturally responsive and sustaining, not just have, I certainly appreciate Van Gogh and all of the great artists and all the great art. I do that. But I also like Frida Kahlo and I like a lot of artists here. So there's a lot of art that we can have in our classrooms, in our presentations, that will enhance and I think speak to people who want to see something that represents them, and also that is more creative than just having things in written text. Okay, so for scaffolding, you can see here I grabbed these pictures here of this teacher working on a map here, where kids are learning about a community and they learn places. These are very young children, but doing all kinds of artwork to paint their community. Here we have an expert come in and talk to children here. And you can see this is a culturally diverse classroom and talking about things that will relate to them. And I also love this third one, is that kids can do murals. I mean, I don't know if any of you have been in San Diego, Chicano Park. I mean, it's got one of the most beautiful murals. There are murals in Denver. There are murals in Puebla. There are murals in Mexico City. There are murals in San Francisco. The certain areas of town, they're just beautiful. And you can present those to kids, and then they can draw their own murals in their schools that are culturally relevant and things like that. Kids now who are so savvy with tech, they can make their own kinds of videos and things like that, short videos that have artwork in it and that express artwork. I'm sure each of you have lots of ideas about this. And so just because of our time, we can't get all of those, but my goodness, there's a lot of drawings and photographs. Kids can go around and photograph things in their neighborhood that they find interesting, and then you can put those on the wall. We can develop drama where kids dress up and then maybe present something, and you have a background wall where they do art. So there are just a lot of ways that you can engage with art in the classroom. And what that does is just constantly ask them to be creative. This is a piece that I did for a book, Peter, this is the Plyler v. Doe 1982 case, where the case was that in Texas, of course, lovely Texas, Plyler, the school district says that we do not have to take children whose parents aren't documented. And so the families took that to court. And this guy, Peter Ruse, who I've met, he's just a wonderful guy. He took it to the Supreme Court and he argued against Plyler School District, and he won at the Supreme Court. And I know that our Governor Abbott here in Texas has said we're going to go after Plyler v. Doe, but I don't think it will happen. Public schools, it says that public schools must accept all children regardless of their immigration status of their parents, and they can't in any way intimidate or prevent parents from bringing their children to school or from picking them up to school. Because a lot of times you'd have the Border Patrol and stuff waiting out there. They can't do that either. This is it's something that children have the right to attend public school. And so I did this, I got I put a lot of symbolism in here that the Virgen de Guadalupe, she's angry about this. We've got the border wall. We've got this beautiful family here. we've got some families here that are like, wow, we don't want kids. You know, we've got cases in Texas where this one case where the school held back Mexican Spanish-speaking children for 3 years and allowed the English-speaking children, white children, to go ahead because they thought the Mexican children were holding back the development of the English-speaking children. Those are just injustices that are not fair. And so I did this one, and it ended up on a book cover because I do a lot of book covers, and the book company was good enough, and Peter Ruse was. I actually gave him this art piece that I did for him, so that's great. This one, this next one here are, is the border, what is the border wall? And, and President Trump said he was going to build the border wall, and we're going to stop all these people. And the border wall, I tried to see, the border wall is a beautiful wall, but it's, it has its ups and downs, and it's places where people pass, and immigrants to this country will always find ways to get around the wall. And so I tried to make it into something like this, so as a discussion piece, because I know a lot of people are opposed to the wall. We have here in Laredo a large group of people who are opposed to having a wall around Laredo. And then there are other people who say, no, we need a wall and we need to keep people out, and here's the reason why. So to have those kinds of discussions, I think, are really important for a classroom. And it's the teacher's role is to have students express their informed opinions about these things and why we do have these things. Because when I grew up a long time ago, and I'm like de la tercera edad, como quien dice, I'm like at the third age. When I used to go to Mexico, there were no walls. I went to Mexico all the time, back and forth. I mean, I lived in Mexico for 6 years as a kid, and coming back. So. And then this other one here is a piece that I did because I don't know if you know this, but what California, Arizona did was it built the wall, and then it had certain areas where it would only allow immigrants to go through, but that was the hottest, most dangerous part of the desert, and so a lot of families died in the desert. And so, I've got these names up here of people, and I have this one, Esperanza, and I put that on there, hope, and then, and this one from Oaxaca, and this one from Morelia, because I lived in those cities and stuff. Here we have the clouds again, like the beautiful clouds behind Clarence, very similar to those. And then I put little visions they're looking through. We don't know if they're looking through the Mexican side to the US side, or they're looking in the US side to the Mexican side, because when you come here as an immigrant, you have lots of opportunities, but you also give up lots of things. And I really tried hard to get that discussion going about how difficult it is for the immigrant experiences for so many immigrants who come to this country. Okay. Now, as we get toward the end of this, I think it's really important for you to talk with your students about gallery walks. And, as students produce all of this art in your classroom and all the animals, let's say they do all of these interesting animals like a crocodile, elephant, and a turtle, giraffe, and what was a turtle? No, we had what did she do? She did a turtle, pig, giraffe, or something like it, or no, kitty. It was a kitty, turtle, pig. But let's say the kids do that, and then you put that on the wall, and you can have that in the hallways. You could have these things. Look at all these nice kitty cats that the kids did. Look at some, if you think about these are young kids who are experimenting with color, and these are almost like Picasso-esque because they're so abstract and beautiful. And here's one with music, and this kitty cat has brown legs, but then has blue here. So they're doing all kinds of things. Here's a teacher that has a whole wall dedicated to student art. And then you can see that the student is explaining what that art piece means to him or her. Same thing here on this wall where you put up and you just have a line across there and you use, you know, just a regular old, what are those things called? No me acuerdo. For putting up laundry, you know, you just put those up there and pincers and you know, and put the students' art up. That way you're celebrating students' art, just like you celebrate their their written work. You can celebrate their artistic work in their classrooms, and that's really important, I think, because it tells the world that we do art here. We are creative. We see things differently. I mean, I think that's the message that these kinds of events have in schools, and so I think it's really, really wonderful that teachers actually do these kinds of things. And here, you know, culturally responsive, you have kids that draw themselves here and put themselves up here. You have a young lady with a, you know, wearing a headscarf. Here you have this one, kids from different countries. This is from a book cover where you have kids from different countries and speaking two languages. Here you have kids that come from all parts of the world. That idea that you have children in your classroom or students in your classroom that come and that you can celebrate that you're lucky enough to have kids with different kinds of cultural practices and cultural experiences. So I think that's really good. By the way, this little girl right here in the painting, that's my granddaughter, but I usually don't tell people that, but that's my granddaughter. I just put her in there like that. But, you know, this one was for a book cover. This one here is what a teacher did to make sure that all kids saw themselves as represented in class. And then here we have this beautiful thing where kids are sitting around and this one is done really, really well. But coming around the world and really representing the students in your classroom and knowing that that really makes a difference when students see themselves and feel themselves as being invited into the classroom. So I think that's what art can do as well. In the next section, we'll examine immigrant families and immigrant students as seen through art. So here, all children, regardless of their parents, have the right to attend school. We already saw that. Many migrants are emergent bilinguals, they're English learners, so we have to offer support. That's our responsibility and duty. And art is a way to scaffold their learning because it communicates ideas and feelings that students may not be able to express in writing or in spoken form. So we'll just go through this next section relatively quickly. This is a piece I did a long time ago, and this was happened in Arizona when they passed a law that said we can no longer teach Spanish in our classrooms. And so the idea, and somebody said to me once, well, that's Hillary Clinton. And I said, no, that's not Hillary. That's just a teacher. And some people say, well, is she saying stop keeping the kids out, or is she saying stop the kids from coming in? So, and I put there's a lot in this artwork here. And I don't mean to say that all teachers, because they're white or look like this, are against immigrations. This was just an indication. It gets us discussing, how kids. This is our America, and it's for all children. And so we want, and these children, if you look down here, there's an English book here. There's books here that these kids want to learn, just like the kids that are in the classroom. And let's make sure that we have all the opportunities that they can do well in the classroom and be fully accepted in the classroom, right? This one, this is a kid sitting here with, again, the sort of the border wall. And it says up here, me llamo Jorge. My name is Jorge. Hablo español, pero todo está en inglés. I speak Spanish, but everything's in English. Y por eso, and because of that, no puedo participar. I can't participate. Y no entiendo lo que trato de leer. And I don't understand what I try to read. So I'm frustrated. And so here's here's a picture of like what we need to do. And here in Texas, particularly, we don't, as the kids get into the upper grades where this Jorge is, there's very little support for kids who need to learn English. in the middle and high school. Here they have, they usually are pull-out programs where they teach them English, but there's not a lot of preparation of secondary teachers to be ready to incorporate and include and encourage and expand the languages of the kids that are in the upper grades. And so that's why I put that one in there. And we talk a lot about that in my course on teaching English learners in schools. Now this one, I'm just going to say, what does this mean to you? What's happening to this young boy? I'll give you a couple minutes. Just do a quick write. What's happening to this young boy? This is one of my most intensive paintings that I've done. So this idea comes from the work of Gloria Ansaldúa, who was a woman who lived on the border and wrote a lot about her experiences growing up, but neither here nor there in Nepantla, that in-betweenness. And she talked a lot about how she was treated in school, about her learning of English. And she used the term deslenguado. Deslenguado means that you've taken my tongue away. And more recently, Jeff McSwan talked about this, about non-nons, that kids don't have English or Spanish, that we talked to him about. And then a friend of mine at Stanford, Jonathan Drosa, calls it languagelessness. That is, that we take the language away from the kids. And so here is a pretty heavy-duty paint of some teachers painting this student's tongue white because they want him to only speak English. And to do that forcefully is very, very strong, I think. And it evokes, this should evoke a lot of feelings, whether you're opposed to English or you're opposed to Spanish or whatever. It can evoke a lot of feelings. And I tried to make it that the kid is scared and being treated, and he's a good kid, he's well dressed, but they're going to take his tongue and they're going to deslenguage. Yeah, they're going to take his tongue away. So, and I think we have we're getting close to our last minute. In a small group, maybe 3 ways that you can use art in your class, or maybe a couple of ways to incorporate artwork into language arts, social studies, or things like that. So maybe if you just take some time, if we, Jennifer, you could maybe put them in small groups, and couple 2 or 3 ways that you think you could use art in your classroom based upon what you've seen here or some other ideas, or what you've done already to share with somebody. And then we'll come back in about 5 minutes or so. Okay.
Chris, I'm going to go ahead and share the closing slide unless you want to wrap anything up with.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Go ahead. Okay. So I think everybody's back now, and that's really good. I hope that you got some ideas from your colleagues in your group, and that you think about in the weeks and months to come ways to engage with art in your class. Remember, you yourself don't have to be an artist, but your students can do art, and you can do all kinds of art. I don't care if you draw. I love that one where somebody had a stick figure going up the mountain, or I'm as thin as a toothpick. Carlos was thin as a toothpick. Those are also artistic ideas, and you should do that. So remember that art is in the eye of the beholder, what we see and what we do. And here, here's kind of like, you probably, that might be Frida, but it might not. Frida Kahlo here, and because I don't think she was a lefty, and I made her a lefty there, but just however she sees herself, however we see ourselves as artists, that's how we are. And I really relate to this particular artwork that I did, because when I paint, I don't see myself, as this person here, because I have all these other experiences in my life, but this is who I am. But I can see myself, and I can be myself, and I can create myself in other ways, and I feel really good about that. And so I think that's what that does. And then this other one, I did this one when I was at the University of Guadalajara in 1415. The seer, that this young girl, she can see so many things. And this is only one. This is sort of insider knowledge. This is the only art piece I've sold to somebody who has really, really wanted it, so I sold it. But this, again, this is just a simple drawing of a young girl with long hair, who's seen and seen all over. And this one over here is seeing herself as this person here. So art is like that. We can do all kinds of things. Each one of you can draw, paint, color, create, all kinds of things, and engage your students in that. And you will see, I'm pretty certain of it, that it will expand their understanding of the world, and have see the world, the beauty in the world. Just like we see some of the things that I saw of the child, that's been separated from mom. That's a tragic kind of thing. But we try to express that and be hopeful about that. So that's what art can do. And I'm really hoping that as you come away from this, you learn something, and that you'll do this. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah, thank you, and may the art be with you. Thank you for that. Now I'm going to turn it over to Kim, and I'm going to leave right now because I have to go to yet another meeting. It was just such an honor to be able to be able to meet and talk. Thank you, Lisa, for coming to this, and all of those, and Adri and Marlene and Luisa, all of the folks, and Clarence, for coming. And I wish you well, and may the art be with you, and do lots of things with art in your life. Thank you very much. Bye, Marlene.
Chris, thank you so much. We just really appreciate it. I see all the hands.
Thank you. Hope to see you soon. Andale. Bye-bye.
Y'all, we're gonna hop off in just a moment. I would just love, this is a very quick survey for the workshop from today. We would love your feedback. The QR code is here on the screen if you want to do it, if you have a phone, and you're able to get that. We would just love your feedback. It helps us to inform future workshops, and tells us what you enjoy from our workshops and what you'd love to see in the future. Jennifer also has it, the link to it, which she'll put in the chat in a moment, if you would like to, if you don't have a phone, and would like the URL link. I'll also send a follow-up email with this survey. But if you are able to do it right now, usually we find if you do it right now, then we'll be able to get it done. As you're doing that, just a couple of upcoming things that are happening on April 26th and 27th. So coming up soon is our MRS workshop. And that's our mixed reality simulation. It's a 2-day workshop. And we are super excited about this workshop to be able to show you more of the MRS lab. You'll have folks, faculty who are using MRS in their classrooms, and hear about their experiences with their teacher candidates and how it's impacting their work. And you'll also get a free 10-day trial run. And so you'll be able to try it out yourself. So I definitely highly recommend coming and seeing about the mixed reality simulation, and seeing what it's all about. We are thrilled to be able to share that with our Branch Ed core community. So the flyer is, here. There's also a QR code. Again, it's coming up in a couple weeks, and it's from 12 to 2. Last thing want to note is that we do have a certificate of completion for this workshop. You will receive that certificate in the next couple of days in your inbox, and so you'll have that to share, to show that you were here and were able to participate in this workshop. Thank you so much. I'll put the QR code for the feedback if you still need to get that and give feedback. Otherwise, I'll give you 8 minutes back, 7 minutes back. So maybe you have to prepare for your next meeting, or you can take a nice walk outside, or maybe even draw another piece of art. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at our MRS workshop coming up later at the end of this month. Have a great day, y'all. Thank you.